Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. And yes, tonight we celebrate Source, and what a night it will be. Because there are nights in the life of a movement, and there are nights in the life of a civilization when something in the air simply tells you, this will be a night to remember. A night when the spirit of adventure that began with LRH rises once again. A night when the momentum of a global movement surges forward. A night when the future suddenly seems to open wider than ever before. And if ever there was such a night, this is it. Because there is something unmistakable in the air this evening. A sense of possibility, a sense of momentum, a sense that something extraordinary is about to unfold. But that feeling does not come from chance. It comes from a single source, from the life, the vision, and the work of one man. It is LRH, his legacy, his imprint, his mark on history, and most of all, the man himself. Well, to see where he stands tonight, all you have to do is look at what he created. A body of LRH literature still blazing across the imagination of mankind. 90 years ago, he penned his first novel, a sweeping saga of the American frontier. And in an era when the pale face always won, LRH reversed the formula in buckskin brigades. And today, the premier journal of the American West hails it landmark of historical fiction. From there, writing at a velocity rarely matched in literary history, LRH did not merely enter genres, he created them. Witness what the world now knows as fantasy, where entire universes rise from imagination alone. It began with LRH and classics like Typewriter in the Sky, still celebrated today as a true masterpiece. Witness his science fiction landmark, Final Blackout, acclaimed again as a towering achievement and timeless classic. Witness his suspense classic, Fear, still cited today for its enduring mastery. And now, on the 90th anniversary of his presidency of New York's American Fiction Guild, LRH was just proclaimed master of all genres. But beyond the fiction he authored, his love of words gave humanity study technology, and that's applied scholastics, today reaching more students than any educational network. In fact, more than 3 million in the past year alone, now surpassing every other major learning program in the world 5 times over. His technology for drug rehabilitation is another force of unparalleled scale, generating a program step completion every 30 minutes and powering a global movement 7 times the scope of other treatment systems. Finally, there's his technology igniting a moral resurgence across 196 lands, where 145 million copies now course to the ends of Earth. And again, it's the largest network of its kind, bringing a true guide to living and morality for all people. So, it's no wonder LRH commands a global chorus of recognitions from academic institutions, religious forums, national dignitaries, government agencies, and federal legislatures, all told, not just one for every page on the calendar, but more than 500 in just the past 12 months. So yes, to honor his legacy, we answer his mandate to think big with Scientology TV, broadcasting LRH's technology across every continent and nation on Earth, the antisocial personality, the third-party law, what is greatness, on and on, driving viewers to discover Source. Until now, more than 25 million have tuned in. But when it comes to going big, that's our return to the Super Bowl, where this year we launched our anthem for the human spirit, driving viewers to LRH's technology 3 times more than our last Super Bowl and marking the highest response ever. And yes, all leading to his greater legacy, LRH Tech in our golden age. Take the most influential philosophers in history, and their works fill volumes. But when it comes to the mind, the spirit, and life itself, LRH's body of work eclipses them all right through the roof. And if that scope defies imagination, now look at the reach. Add up his books and lectures now in circulation, and the numbers go astronomical, soaring past 400 million. But if that's dissemination, there's everything else in the name of application, in the name of total freedom. And in this golden age, Scientologists rocketing through the academy to class 5, 10 times over, those advancing from purification to the state of clear, again 10 times over, whereupon we ascend to the realms of OT, with the numbers advancing from clear to new OT7, but this time no less than 15 times over. But if that is the legacy of tech he gave us, then we come to what he asked in return, expansion. And that's our living bridge of ideal orgs, the living manifestation of his policies for the delivery of his technology exactly as intended. 78 as of now, 79 before this night is over, and already from hemisphere to hemisphere, still more ideal orgs moving into construction, no less than 1.6 million square feet and counting, a future rising across the earth. And yes, that is the everlasting power of Source on this LRH birthday celebration 2026. If only to reiterate the all-embracing theme, tonight is sourced in full. As for the agenda, it is fully embracing of the past, present, and future. As befitting this night of nights, the present is represented by what LRH most wished for on his birthday, not only a birthday game that signifies expansion, but also the expansionist destiny fueled by his technology and everything that now stands as the living expression of that technology across the earth. As for the future, we will not only celebrate the next ideal work that shed a ribbon, but give it 2 hours or so and we will unveil something altogether new. Something that signals the next step forward for Scientology itself, a step that carries LRH technology even further into the future. All of which is to say, what you are about to see tonight is nothing less than the continuing advance of Source. And it begins right now. Last year, you witnessed the expansion of a legacy unlike any other, a legacy preserved not in fragments, not in ruins, but in living physical form. Since then, that legacy has advanced still further. What began as preservation now stands as a mapped trail marking the precise milestones in the development of Dianetics and Scientology. Milestone by milestone, breakthrough by breakthrough. And tonight, you will see exactly where that trail now stands and where it leads next. To present it, from the Church of Spiritual Technology, Mr. Tom Willis.
Thank you very much. Last year, on this very night, we unveiled something unprecedented in the history of religion. Not merely preserved scripture, not merely recorded words, but exact physical settings where those words and the discoveries behind them were made. Because while many religions point to ruins or sites long surrendered to time, we stand alone as the only major religion in possession of the complete written and spoken legacy of our founder, and now the very locations in which that legacy was forged. And to be clear, the preservation of LRH's legacy does not begin and end with buildings. It begins with the totality of his work, the full archive, the technical materials, the recorded lectures, the policies, the research notes, every word safeguarded for eternity. And in parallel, the exact environments in which that research unfolded. Because when you restore time to place, form, and event, you restore the dimension points of discovery itself. You make it possible, literally, to walk the research path. And that is what the L. Ron Hubbard landmark sites represent. They are not memorials, they are milestones, each one marking a specific breakthrough along the developmental track of Dianetics and Scientology. So as of tonight, let us orient ourselves along that physical bridge, step by step, in chronology, to see exactly where the landmark sites stand today. And we begin where it all began, in 1949, Bay Head, New Jersey. It was here that LRH wrote Dianetics, the modern science of mental health. Today, this landmark is distinguished with more than 30 recognitions and awards, including its listing on the National Register of Historic Places. And now, in honor of the 75th anniversary of Book 1, the mayor himself has officially proclaimed L. Ron Hubbard as an honorary citizen of Bay Head. Next, 1950, Elizabeth, New Jersey, 42 Aberdeen Road, home of the first Dianetics Foundation. We opened this landmark site last year. Within these walls, LRH trained the very first Dianetics auditors, recording his lectures and demonstrations as the technology began moving from page to practice. And today, that significance stands formally recognized with the city of Elizabeth dedicating Aberdeen Road in the name of L. Ron Hubbard, and, not to be outdone, the New Jersey State Senate has issued an official commendation honoring his contributions to the state and the nation. We then head west along LRH's trail to 1952, Phoenix, Arizona, beneath Camelback Mountain. It was here that LRH made the breakthrough of exteriorization, marking the evolution of Dianetics to Scientology. Today, this landmark holds nearly 50 civic and cultural recognitions, including its listing on the National Register of Historic Places. And most recently, the Arizona Historical Society recognized the site for preserving the moment that Scientology was born. Likewise in Phoenix, 1954, Osborne Road. It was while living here that LRH brought about the historic unification of Dianetics and Scientology. This landmark site opened its doors last year, the unique prairie-style home now restored to its original form. And at its heart, the very office where LRH authored Dianetics 55. And most recently, Arizona officials raised the state flag over the Capitol in tribute to LRH's legacy forged on Osborne Road, recognizing his lifelong dedication to creating a better world. The chronology now continues east, 1955, Washington, D.C., the original founding church of Scientology. From here, LRH served as executive director, guiding Scientology's expansion across America. Today, this landmark holds more than 120 civic and cultural recognitions, and it too is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And most recently, a congressional recognition hailed the site as part of the Capitol's cultural and literary history. Then, across the Atlantic, 1956, London on Fitzroy Street. It was here that LRH established Hubbard Communications Office worldwide, guiding Scientology's expansion across the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. Today, Fitzroy stands as a national heritage site, and most recently, religious leaders recognized LRH for the book he wrote while in London, Scientology, The Fundamentals of Thought. We then follow LRH's trail to South Africa, 1960, Johannesburg. It was here that LRH formulated the introductory routes, opening the path to Scientology for millions. This landmark site first opened its doors in 2005, and today is also recognized as a historic site. But not only that, this past November, we returned newly discovered artifacts to their rightful place, namely LRH's fully restored 1958 Pontiac Super Chief, and right beside it, his 1960 Triumph TR6 motorcycle, both now standing exactly where LRH once parked them. Then, the trail advances across Africa. 1966, Salisbury, Rhodesia. Today, Harare, Zimbabwe. It was here that LRH drafted his historic constitution, calling for one man, one vote. This landmark site opened its doors just last year, preserving the very rooms where that milestone occurred. And most recently, the University of Zimbabwe entered into a formal collaboration, making tours of this landmark site part of its humanities curriculum, and recognizing LRH's legacy, transforming Zimbabwean lives for the better. And finally, that same year, we follow LRH's trail to St. Hill Manor, United Kingdom. Ron's home until 1966, and from where he guided Scientology into a global movement. It was here he released the classification and gradation chart, precisely mapping training and auditing to the state of clear. And with that breakthrough, the path he forged would soon reach far beyond these grounds. Today, LRH is honored for opening the way to new heights for mankind, and that recognition now reaches around the world because the L. Ron Hubbard landmark sites now stand honored with more than 300 awards and recognitions not only as milestones in our history, but as enduring markers along the trail he blazed for all mankind. At St. Hill, LRH had carried Scientology to a defining threshold. The grade chart complete, mapping the precise route to clear. And with that foundation firmly established, in late 1966, LRH resigned his post as Executive Director International, freeing himself to pursue the next stage of research into the upper spans of the bridge. And so, from St. Hill, LRH moved to the next decisive milestone. A place few have seen, but one that would shape the future of Scientology. And for the opening word on what happened there, I give you LRH.
This is a tape of 20 September 1967, made on an island in the sea, and it is addressed to all staff and students of Scientology organizations. The background noise that you hear is not in actual fact tape noise. It is the wind howling up a cliff and hitting over the area where I am sitting. Out before me here is the wide blue sea with ships passing by, a few fleecy clouds overhead, and the bright sun shining down. I'm giving you this short talk because you might have wondered what I was doing. Rumor lines are not very reliable, to say the least, and not likely to even approach truth. I do not like to create a mystery with regard to our activities. You have heard mention of the Sea Orbit, the Sea Organization, and you are likely to hear other mentions of it as time goes on. This is in reality just another Scientology organization with the difference that it handles extremely advanced work and materials, and its personnel are OTs. Its mission is to bring clears through the upper levels safely and certainly and with speed, and it also has the mission of getting in ethics. I've already made an experiment. I went off by myself into Southern Africa to see whether or not an OT would make good singly and all alone without any assistance against the environment around him. And I found out that he would not do too much good, that a group of OTs would be entirely irresistible and are necessary to carry on this type of operation. So OTs invest with OTs. And last December of 1966, I concluded that I had gone as far as I could go without taking further forthright action with our technology, and I used an old principle of Scientology, which consists of putting the injured member exactly on and in the place it was injured. If you were to bump your head on a certain door a little bit later, if you go back and touch your head against that door, you of course will suffer the full somatic or a moment of the impact. And so I decided that I had better go out and contact an exact point or two. And I have been able to bring off and bring forward to its total conclusion the research and so on, up from clear to OT.
That message came from Ron's Journal 1967. The technical advance he announced, OT3, and the place from which it was delivered, what he called an island in the sea, Las Palmas, and LRH's cliffside villa. From St. Hill, LRH had traveled south via Morocco to this Atlantic outpost in the Canary Islands. But to see the full picture of what was happening here at that time, we turned to the archives from this period. First-hand accounts from those who worked directly with LRH, photographs from the time, many taken by LRH himself, and artifacts preserved exactly as they were. Among them, LRH's original British Mark V E-meter maintained in its precise condition, the very meter he used in his advanced research culminating in OT3. Also preserved, LRH's Iowa recorder, the machine on which he recorded Ron's Journal 67. And with the full archival record before us, we can trace how it all began. At St. Hill in late 1966, LRH issued a call to Scientologists, asking for anyone with sea, yachting, or maritime experience to join him. Thus began what he called the Sea Project, and the next step soon followed. LRH acquired 2 vessels for the Sea Project, the Enchanter, a 60-foot 2-masted yacht, and the Avon River, a North Sea trawler built for open water. The ship's logs record LRH taking Enchanter to sea on a series of local missions, testing her performance under sail and power. And in those same archival records, we uncovered something remarkable: original 16mm motion picture footage filmed by LRH himself on those Canary Island missions. The Atlantic in motion, surf driving against volcanic rock, and waves breaking along the Canary shores. Upon return from those missions, LRH ordered Enchanter into refit in Las Palmas Harbor, and preserved in the archives is his own hand-drawn sketch for a revised sail configuration to improve her stability at sea. At the same time, he directed the refit of Avon River, including yet another LRH hand-drawn sketch for a rudder extension. Then came a massive overhaul. Avon River stripped to bare metal, sandblasted stem to stern. So much sand filled the air and deck that LRH named the entire evolution the Sahara Campaign. And those Sea Project members who carried it through were later awarded the very first campaign ribbon. But beyond hulls and engines, LRH required a crew capable of operating those ships at sea. So he trained and drilled them himself. As recorded in this note of the day, I will be aboard mid-afternoon to train crew a bit in an all-hands evolution. In fact, LRH's emergency drills became so realistic that a local Las Palmas newspaper reported they were breathtaking. Yet LRH did more than conduct drills. He codified them for every emergency at sea, from fire to collision and every other contingency a vessel might face. Because as he wrote, it is the ship's company and their state of drill that foretells a long life or a short one. And then came the watershed moment on 12 August 1967, in flag order number 1, titled Reorganization. LRH transformed what had begun as a project into something else entirely. The Sea Project will hereafter be known as the Sea Organization. Its purpose set down, its character defined. Also preserved in the archives, in LRH's own hand, the original design for the Sea Org symbol, a 5-pointed star surrounded by a gold wreath of 2 stems, each bearing 13 leaves, and a flag which bore that symbol, flown on the first Sea Org vessels. We trace even the earliest traditions of the Sea Org back to Las Palmas. Among the records, an October 1967 letter from LRH commissioning 24 Spanish naval ceremonial knives from the legendary blade-making city of Toledo, Spain. And from that heritage came the Sea Org naval dirk, bearing the OT symbol on its hilt. These dirks were presented to officers whose missions had attained the condition of affluence, a mark of Sea Org honor. But beyond symbols and ceremony, LRH also set down the Sea Org's defining commitment, a commitment that spans lifetimes, and its motto, "We come back." And yes, that is the full story of what unfolded here from the first conception of the Sea Project to the very birth of the Sea Organization. And from that moment of formation, we narrow in on LRH's exact location at this time, 8 miles south of Las Palmas Harbor in the clifftop community of La Estrella, Spanish for the star. Here, LRH took up residence in a villa he thus named Estrella. But to facilitate his supervision of the ships in the harbor, he required transportation, specifically a station wagon with a commodious back area for transport of gear. The solution? A 1967 Ford Country Squire. When LRH later departed European waters for the Caribbean in 1974, he left that car in the care of a marine supplier in Portugal, Manuel Ferreira. Nearly 50 years later, Manuel still had it. Wow. But more on that in a moment. When we took possession of this LRH landmark site, comparison with LRH's 1967 photographs revealed the villa had been dramatically altered from its original appearance. So we set about removing those alterations. The first major change was the front open patio, which had been enclosed, glass sliding doors installed, a roof added overhead, and even a new wing constructed, all of which we removed, reopening the patio to the sky and reinstating the breeze-blocked wall, restoring its original open-air design. The terrace floor had also been covered with modern tile. A test opening revealed successive layers beneath, so we removed them one by one, tile, cement, another tile layer, until the original terrace floor was finally revealed, volcanic basalt with hand-laid inset stone detailing. On the ocean-facing side of the house, the alterations were equally extensive. The original bay window removed and replaced, flagstone walkways added, and a terrace wall raised, blocking the Atlantic view. Once again, we removed the additions, restored the facade to its original form, and lowered the wall to its proper height. And today, fully restored, Estrella once again overlooks the Atlantic, just as LRH saw it when the Sea Organization was born. And with every historical detail returned to its original form, the full picture now comes into view. Overlooking the wide blue Atlantic, perched high upon the cliffs LRH himself described, where the winds howled upward from the sea, stands Estrella today, exactly as it stood in 1967. The villa reflects mid-century European modern design, built by a Dutch developer of the period, working with a local Canary Island architect, giving the home its distinctive blend of European modernism and island character. From this site, LRH established his base of operations, starting just inside the entrance with the communications center. To coordinate the rapid refits of Enchanter and Avon River, orders and dispatches moved constantly between Estrella, the base office near the harbor, and both Sea Project vessels. All traffic cleared and delivered twice daily by LRH order. Beyond its ordinary function, This room served a second purpose. The kitchen became the point from which LRH directed instantaneous communication with the crews. Using a Sharp CBT-7 base station and Pony handheld radios, he maintained direct communication with personnel aboard both vessels as well as the staff ashore. From every first-hand account preserved from that time, one fact becomes unmistakably clear. Nothing in this villa was incidental. Every room served a precise function. A case in point, the living room. Here, LRH personally met with staff and ship's crews, holding briefings preserved on this Telefunken Magnetophone 302 recorder. With traffic moving swiftly and constantly, LRH converted the dining area into an administrative command post. From here, LRH directed the early sea organization, issuing the flag orders and directives that set its course. But this room also bears witness to another historic moment. This is the exact location where LRH recorded Ron's Journal 67, describing the wind howling up the cliffs and the wide blue sea before him, with fleecy clouds overhead and the bright sun shining down. Alongside that history are LRH's personal possessions, each a direct link to his time in Las Palmas. From his first missions aboard Enchanter, the film camera LRH used to capture the ocean footage you saw earlier, and his captain's binoculars bearing his name. Also preserved here are the earliest artifacts of the Sea Organization, the naval dirk, the original Sea Org symbol, and the flag that first flew at sea, foundations of Sea Org tradition. And here is where LRH audited, his solo auditing desk overlooking the Atlantic. And now, to complete the story I told you earlier about the forward country squire left untouched in Portugal for half a century, here it is today, LRH's own station wagon with its commodious room for gear, now fully restored and returned to Estrella. So there you have it, Estrella Villa, LRH's home on an island in the sea, where he broke through the wall of fire and where he established the Sea Organization as the custodians of OC for all eternity, opening this spring for Scientologists everywhere. And with that, our time at Estrella draws to its close. Yet this is no mere conclusion, because this house was not simply a place in time. It was a point of advance, a threshold crossed, a new course set. And tonight, that moment is no longer something distant in history, because now you too can stand upon the very ground where LRH worked, where he confronted those exact points along his research, and where he carried that research through the wall of fire. And if we have stood at that turning point tonight, then the direction ahead is unmistakable. For what LRH recorded here was more than history. It was the breakthrough secured and the charge to carry it forward. And so, in closing, I give you LRH with his closing words from Ron's Journal 67.
In the Lord grades, one is mainly concerned with himself and his own case or his immediate family, but as one moves up the line, one becomes more concerned with the environment and the world in which he lives. And with this concern comes the realization that all has not been well. As one's ability to confront increases, his level of responsibility increases. And an OT cannot be an OT in a world which is insane or a universe which is mad. Although The scope of the work is almost unimaginably extensive. It is nevertheless true that we are making definite and positive inroads upon this, and we will bring it off. We are no longer dealing with the time span of man, which is 70 years. We are dealing with the centuries. And we have enough time at the upper levels to bring it off, providing we work quickly enough at the lower levels and within the framework of the society itself to prevent it from destroying itself before we attain our purposes and goals. From here on, the world will change. But if it changes at all, and if it recovers, it will be because of the Scientologist. It will be because of the auditor and his technical skill. It will be because of the organization and the organization staff member and his dedication. In all the broad universe, there is no other hope for man than ourselves. This is a tremendous responsibility. I have borne it too long alone. You share it with me now.
And as you just heard from LRH, this is a tremendous responsibility. I have borne it too long alone. You share it with me now. And that, of course, brings us directly to the point. Because if that responsibility is now shared, then it must also be organized. And that is precisely what stands behind the next chapter of this evening's event. For when we speak of answering LRH's legacy of technology with our gift of expansion, what we are really speaking of is the full and practical expression of Scientology on this planet. Meaning, not simply the technology itself, but the organizations required to deliver it. Because, take the word expansion, break it down, follow it through to its full organizational expression, and what do you arrive at? An ideal org. Not merely an org in name, but an organization fully equipped to deliver the entirety of LRH's legacy, which is to say, an organization where every component of Scientology stands in place, the golden age of knowledge, the golden age of technology, and the golden age of administration, all aligned to deliver Scientology exactly as LRH intended. Or, stated simply and plainly, expressly and explicitly, an ideal org. And that, of course, brings us to the final component required to make that ideal org a reality. Because while the golden age of knowledge and the golden age of technology place the materials of Scientology fully in hand, it is the golden age of administration that brings those other golden ages to full fruition. And making that possible is the program we refer to as the Flag Executive Briefing Course program, training the executives who return to their orgs to put that ideal scene into operation. Now, as I have previously shown and described that program in full, let me simply give you a brief recap, if only to refresh you on the particulars. The program operates on a night shift schedule simply to accommodate the size of the student body. And that student body currently numbers more than 600 executives representing over 50 orgs worldwide. The program begins with the Organization Executive Course, the OEC, comprising a study of every policy of every post on the org board. More than 1,600 policy letters in total, and yes, with a required 100% pass on examination. Those who pass advance to the Flag Executive Briefing Course, the FEBC. The full course is studied 3 times through. Part 1, metered word clearing on every issue and every lecture. Part 2, star rate checkout, again, on every issue and every lecture. Part 3, fast flow, yet still a full study of the entire course from beginning to end. And once more, with the required 100% pass on examination. Beyond that, executives responsible for grade chart delivery train as auditors and course supervisors, while those responsible for public division services train on the delivery of introductory services, including Book 1 seminars and co-audits, personal efficiency, and public TRs. Then there are the auditing requirements, all based on the LRH mandate. We don't let FEBC students go unless their cases are flying. Accordingly, the program includes false purpose rundown for executive qualification. Beyond that, general case advance. Now, while many executives arrive as clear and OT, for those who are not, FLAG moves them up the bridge to NED case completion or clear. In fact, nearly 30 executives have attained the state of clear just this year, making for a cumulative 180 clears since program launch. Finally, capping the program, Superpower, with more than 500 completions and counting. And even more to the point of this program, 145 executives have graduated the full program just since January, making for a cumulative 447 FEBC graduates now at the forefront of the golden age of administration. Needless to say, and as has been said before, we are talking about a new breed of executives. The highest technically trained, the highest administratively trained, and the highest case level executives in Scientology history. Now, if you have attended past events where I have described the FEBC program, you will well remember hearing excerpts from the confidential FLAG Executive Briefing Course lectures. In fact, over these past years, you have heard several of those lectures. But there is one excerpt you have not yet heard, simply because the time for it had not yet come. While those earlier excerpts had LRH lecturing FEBC students on the technology of the course itself, this one is something different. Indeed, LRH gathering those first graduates in his research office aboard the Apollo and delivering their final briefing before firing back to their orgs. And now, with so many FEBC teams already back on post around the world, the question naturally becomes, what did LRH expect would happen next? And so, from the confidential FLAG Executive Briefing Course lecture entitled, As You Return to Your Org, I give you LRH.
This briefing is convened here tonight, this range, because this is the set of directions which will be given to, and is being given to, the departing FEBC graduates to take back to their forms. Now, right way to go back is say, get busy, we're going to deliver now the show is going to go on the road, and so forth, and you guys have been doing great, and we're going to extend everything you've been doing and back you up, and you will find it will all work out in the long run. because that is the truth. So your first action is a survey in your newfound knowledge, a survey of what they've got right there that can be delivered now. Now, once you start this, the machine will start running. If you know your business at all, if we talk through your business lately, the salt mill will start running. And you know the story of the salt mill. It was in Holland of this horrible thing appeared. And it started turning out salt. And they put it under mattresses and they put it in the attic and they hit it with hammers and it just kept on turning out salt. And it turned out more and more salt and there were tremendous piles of salt all over the place. And they finally, in disgust and horror, threw this thing into the sea, and of course that's why the sea is salty and why we have to buy water at such vast expense in these ports. So, you have started something going. Now the test is to keep running ahead of the storm from there on out.
And so, yes, just as LRH said, that is the storm these executives must keep running ahead of. Because once the machine begins to turn, it does not slow, it does not stop, it keeps producing. Exactly as LRH said, the salt mill simply keeps running, and today, that machine is running in Scientology orgs around the world, with FEBC teams now on post across 20 ideal orgs on 5 continents. Now, at this point, I could describe to you what has been happening in those orgs, or I could show you the statistics. Indeed, I could show you a wall of statistics. But tonight, let's do it differently, because nothing speaks more clearly than the voices of the executives themselves. The executives now leading those orgs and applying the full measure of LRH administrative technology. So rather than hear it from me, let us hear it from them, and here they are.
We have unlocked such a potent force.
That's what the golden age of administration means. Expansion like we've never seen before.
With FEBC teams and orgs all around the world, with everything that we have now, there's no stopping us.
This is the gift LRH most wished for in epic proportions.
For the first time, we have ever had a chance to use everything that LRH ever said or wrote about organizations to build big, booming orgs. Orgs that echo out into eternity.
We have everything. You have the golden age of knowledge. You have the golden age of tech. Everything is flawless. And then we have the administrative tech perfect now, first time in history.
It's like literally the sea has been parted for us and we're just walking. That's how simple it is.
I'm a class 5 auditor, I'm a supervisor, I'm a work clearer. Doing the FEBC has given me the keys to the universe. I can handle anything. Everyone's coordinated, you know what they're doing. It's almost like having all the best soccer team players into a single team. And I can tell you right now, we are kicking goals.
Everything that Ron told us would happen in the FEBC lectures is happening. So there's no surprise.
And for the first time, we have the LRH report that is 100% on source with all the different functions. So we actually have the correct ideal theme to work towards.
At first, it was a little shocking to me. Like I would go into an area and almost instantly find a lie. And he's right. The trick is just to get everywhere, because anywhere I go, I can debug the area and get it going. But once I realized what I was doing, I just did a data analysis on this whole thing. But I've been thinking about it.
And it was almost unbelievable. Like the staff and some of the execs were like, how could it be so simple?
It's kind of like having like a race car, you know? You got the right pedals, you know how to operate those pedals, which are different in a race car.
Our location is the best on the planet. We have so many people that walk by it every day. They see something in the window, they've seen the word Scientology, so they walk in.
We've had highest ever raw books multiple times now. We're talking Dianettes, Modern Science of Mental Health, getting out into Austin like a wildfire.
The org is just packed day in, day out, and they route in and they go straight into the Dianetics seminar. And our Dianetics seminar has just got highest after highest after highest.
We've done literally hundreds of first service starts, literally 9x any previous level of production that we ever had before.
Like, so when people come in here, they can feel like they're uptoned, like happy people that are working and busy, and it's like a magnet pulling people in.
The biggest event we put on, 10,000 people showed up. People see that Scientology is open for everyone, and they see the place is really alive, and they want to be part of it.
In Del Valle last year, we have 40,000 people coming through our doors.
They just have people coming in the info center and looking at the video, and they're just like, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want the service, I want the book.
There's a lot of energy in the room, and everybody's running for production.
You see all the people going on post with their packs under their arms and just being excited to, you know, give someone else wins that they also themselves experience.
But we're also feeling the effect of other works too. I have people walking in daily saying, oh, I saw this video on San Francisco, or I heard about you guys from Minnesota. Like, we have created a symbiosis between the orgs that I've never experienced before.
Sometimes they just come in through the door like, I want to train, and we go in like that, and just go flowing and get into their training.
We've had tremendous expansion in our academy. Like, there's been times even on the weekends where we're like, you can't even find a seat practically.
We did stand-up actions in the boost rooms. After 3 days, book was full of people.
And we had like student ones and SFE hours.
I know exactly what you look for. I'm very familiar because I tech trade in that area in Flag.
And that HSC started to boom like crazy. We hit 5-year high after 5-year high, and we hit power conditions. I keep like thinking, oh, is this it? And we hit the ceiling, but no, we just kept going.
We're like quite literally changing the civilization and bringing the entire city uptown, and it's date coincident from the landing of the FEBC team into New York.
The change was instantaneous. Overnight, it went from this to like this. It became a factory for clears. You're just pumping them out. Let's get them. Boom. Clear.
We made 17 clears and counting.
How cool is this religion that we get to do that every single day? What is happening on this planet with all these FEBC orders is stable kernel being put there, generating power.
What I'm doing in Milano, someone else is doing in San Francisco or Del Valle.
The FEBC team firing are actually making islands of sanity.
And it feels like history in the making.
The world has never seen this before because this has never existed before. Like, it blows my mind as to what the future looks like. Like, it really is endlessly beautiful.
We will have achieved this goal, and people will look back to this moment.
Right now is the turning point, and we're pulling off miracles unlike ever before. We have never been closer to planetary clearing than right now.
And now the next FEBC teams are already on their way, because once the engine begins to turn, it keeps going. And now new teams are hitting the ground one after another, fully trained, fully empowered, and returning to their ideal orgs that drive the next surge of expansion. We begin with the team from the Crossroads of America, the FEBC executives of Kansas City, standing 11 strong, with 10 of them now class auditors. They return to their historic ideal org in the cradle of American jazz, but they're not just following the beat, they set it, driving the tempo for expansion across the Great Plains. So yes, Kansas City, here they come with an FEBC executive team done. Next, from the far corner of the Pacific Northwest, the FEBC executives of Seattle, standing 11 strong, with 8 clears and OTs among them. They return to their ideal org on Puget Sound, where LRH once cut those waters with a sailboat keel. But they're not just charting a course, they command it, driving expansion across the Evergreen State. So yes, that's Seattle with an FEBC executive team done. Then to a team from the western rim of the Rockies, the FEBC executives of Salt Lake City, a band of a dozen, bringing more than 230 years of combined staff experience. They return to their ideal org on Church Row at the foot of the Wasatch Mountains. But they're not just climbing higher, they own the summit, driving expansion across the Mountain West. So yes, that's Salt Lake City with an FEBC executive team done. Next, from Southern California's Harbor City, the FEBC executives of San Diego, standing 12 strong, with 9 of them classed auditors. They return to the city LRH once called home, where he lived, wrote, and sailed the Pacific waters. But this team is not just riding the tide, they are the tide, driving expansion all along the Southern California coast. So yes, that's San Diego with an FEBC executive team done. Then, from the epicenter of global entertainment, the FEBC executives of Valley. Their credits roll with 12 graduates, with 9 clears and OTs among them. They return to the largest ideal org in America, right in the heart of the San Fernando Valley. But they're not just rolling credits, they're calling action, driving expansion across the entertainment capital of the world. So yes, that's Valley with an FEBC executive team done. Now, from Southern California's City of Roses, the FEBC executives of Pasadena, standing 12 strong, bringing with them nearly 230 years of combined staff experience. They return to their historic ideal org in Old Town Pasadena, in the same city that hosts the world-famous Rose Bowl. But they're not just marching in the parade, they're leading it, driving expansion across the San Gabriel Valley. So yes, that's Pasadena with an FEBC executive team done. Next, from the gateway to the northwest, the FEBC executives of Portland, standing 13 strong, with 12 of them classed auditors. They return to their historic ideal org in downtown Portland, the very city where we launched our original Religious Freedom Crusade. But they're not just carrying that banner, they're raising it higher, driving expansion across the Pacific Northwest. So yes, that's Portland with an FEBC executive team done. Then halfway around the planet to the southern hemisphere's city of light, the FEBC executives of Perth, standing 11 strong, bringing with them 270 years of combined staff experience. They return to their ideal org on the banks of the Swan River, but they're not just casting light, they're sending it to the horizon, driving expansion across Western Australia. So yes, that's Perth with an FEBC executive team done. Next, from the Renaissance Center of Learning, the FEBC executives of Padova, standing 16 strong with 14 clears and OTs among them. They return to their ideal org in the historic city of Padova, where Galileo once turned his gaze to the stars. But they're not just looking upward, they're bringing a new age of enlightenment, driving expansion across northern Italy. So yes, that's Padova with an FEBC executive team done. And finally, from a city long defined by its fight for freedom, the FEBC executives of Budapest, standing 17 strong with 16 of them class auditors. They return to their ideal org in the heart of the Hungarian capital, where East meets West. But they're not just holding that ground, they're expanding it, driving expansion across Central Europe. So yes, that's Budapest with an FEBC executive team done. And with that, 10 teams newly launched, 10 teams returned across 35,000 miles, 10 ideal orgs primed for limitless expansion. But before we call this run complete, we turn to shores where ideal has never landed before, and where we now mark the next all Golden Age org done. That she rises on an enchanted isle, forever stamped with LRH's presence, well, that makes it all the more fitting tonight. Because this is the land long remembered for his famed 1932 mineralogical expedition, an endeavor that not only shaped the development of the island's resources, but where he also conducted research that would expand his understanding of man. And today, that legacy comes full circle on what LRH himself called my dearest island, Puerto Rico. Spearheading her new tomorrow is her 11-man FEBC executive team, counting 7 clears and OTs, infused with green-on-white certainty. They march to a Latin rhythm, now commanding the gateway to the Caribbean. And this is where it happens. In the island's capital, the oldest city under U.S. jurisdiction. Just follow a main thoroughfare to the cultural heart of San Juan, and there stands the new ideal Church of Scientology Puerto Rico. She rises 4 colorful stories at nearly 50,000 square feet with a bold facade declaring her presence. Right from reception, this ideal org embodies Puerto Rican pride and Puerto Rican passion. Her public information center is just as vibrant, presenting Scientology and every solution born from LRH's discoveries. Right off the displays, the street-level public bookstore provides all fundamentals and naturally flows to the array of introductory routes, from Book 1 to Life Improvement courses. Just beyond, the main bookstore offers all LRH works from the materials guide chart in both Spanish and English, and leads directly to the Golden Age of Knowledge course room, configured for some 24 students at a sitting. Puerto Rico is known as a party island, so her purification center is built for ample delivery. And just steps away, her Objectives co-audit accommodates better than a dozen twin ships at a time. One story above, her St. Hill-sized Hubbard Guidance Center encompasses half a floor, with more than 20 auditing rooms for those navigating full speed to clear. Meanwhile, her academy course rooms are equipped to train more than 160 students at a time, generating groups and missions coast to coast and across the Caribbean. Then there's her Cafe Boringkin, honoring the island's original name and, of course, brewing locally sourced coffee. It's perfectly appointed for both visitors and Scientologists on session and course breaks. Her chapel will serve as a gathering place for graduations and events of every kind, including seminars empowering the island with our humanitarian campaigns. Unique to this org, the LRH exhibit featuring his photographs from that historic expedition, alongside a congressional recognition honoring his discoveries signed by the island's current governor, the very official who now leads Puerto Rico, and all naturally leading to LRH's office, standing in testament to the legacy he forged in this island he so cherished. And ready to fulfill that legacy, her staff team across day and foundation. So, there you have it, your new ideal org, the Church of Scientology, Puerto Rico. Just as steady as the trade winds gracing Puerto Rico's coastline, we arrived at a tropical February afternoon when she sailed the final nautical mile to Ideal. In addition to international executives, those taking the podium spanned the island's civil and social landscape. Mr. Anibal Heredia Burgos, faith-based coordinator for the city of San Juan, supremely committed to making Puerto Rico a model of interfaith and government partnership. Ms. Zoramar Betancourt, president of a San Juan Violence Prevention Network. Her passion, uplifting her people with the way to happiness. Lieutenant Hector Ayala, director of the island's Police Athletic League, championing the truth about drugs to change the course of the next generation. Ms. Mary DaCosta, president of an island-wide human rights coalition, long flying the flag for universal rights, in person and on the airwaves. Then there are those who set the pace and never let it fade, leading the way to Puerto Rico Ideal. Prominent among them, the formidable Grand OT Alliance, helmed by FLAG and their statewide orgs. Humanitarian and Puerto Rican original Eddie Hernandez. New Civilization Builder, the show-stopping Amanda Kiley. New Civilization Builders, the relentless Paul and Renee Chalupsky. New Civilization Builders with honors, the incomparable Steve Favis and Peggy Oppenheim Favis. New Civilization Builder with honors, and Ideal Org Titan, the difference-making Jim Bridgeforth. Silver Civilization Builders, the audacious Stephen and Urania Duque. Two more at silver, the jet-powered Gabriel Fernandez and Lorena Noriega de Fernandez. Ideal Civilization Builders, the beyond legendary Tom and Victoria Cummins. Gold Civilization Builders, the supercharged Timothy and Sarah Baxter. And finally, Gold Civilization Builders and eternal icons of Puerto Rico, the Suarez family. Whereupon a rising tide crossed the threshold to ideal reality as headlines proclaimed, Puerto Rican pride shines with Ideal Church of Scientology in the islands. And so, for the final postcard, I give you that day when the Isle of Enchantment cut awake to eternity as the first all-Golden Age org in Caribbean history.
Mira que está bonito, mira que está conmigo. Vente para acá, estoy adorido. Mira que está bonito, mira que está contigo. Vente para acá, eso.
El municipio de San Juan, la oficina de base de fe de esta ciudad, en nuestra visión de crear una vida mejor para la gente de nuestra capital y de nuestro país. Por eso me siento especialmente honrado de darles la bienvenida en este día tan especial a la ciudad de San Juan de Puerto Rico. Se ha dicho que Puerto Rico está definido por su línea costera como isla. Sin embargo, esta isla posee una presencia que se extiende mucho más allá de sus costas. Encontramos nuestro país, la cultura, la vitalidad y la identidad puertorriqueña que le da vida y sabor a esta isla. Mi dedicación de toda la vida ha sido construir puentes entre las comunidades religiosas y el gobierno, porque unidos podemos vencer. Y por eso hoy nos unimos en este momento, porque esto es lo que hemos visto, que sus programas, sus actividades van a aportar a mejorar a nuestra ciudad y a nuestra comunidad.
Tengo que ayudar a los demás, que es simplemente parte de mis valores fundamentales. Esa pasión en mí se forjó a través de una tragedia personal, pero también creo que donde hay tragedias hay nuevos comienzos y transformación. Y después de todo, eso es lo que estamos celebrando hoy con esta gran inauguración. Un nuevo comienzo para ustedes y para todo lo que podamos lograr juntos. Mi historia se ha entrelazado con el camino de la felicidad y gracias a sus esfuerzos, su sabiduría ha llegado a líderes de municipios de la ciudad, universidades nacionales y centros deportivos juveniles. Pero nada me llega más al corazón que su trabajo para construir un gran parque, el camino a la felicidad en la ciudad de Dorado. Y así le han dado a los presidentes el poder de la transformación a través del camino de la felicidad. Es un compañero para la vida y para mantener siempre a ese compañero cerca de mí. Ahora he creado mi propia portada personalizada.
Ningún niño dice jamás, cuando crezca quiero ser drogadicto, pero son presa fácil para los traficantes de droga. Y con una sola decisión, un niño puede convertirse en esclavo de la droga para siempre. Como oficial de la policía, esta situación es extremadamente desafiante. Sin embargo, cuando los conocí, ustedes abrieron una ventana de esperanza. Ustedes me hablaron de su misión contra las drogas. Y yo les dije, eso es exactamente lo que necesitamos. Desde el momento en que comenzamos a trabajar juntos, hemos creado vidas mejores. Nuestros oficiales han distribuido folletos sobre la verdad de la droga en puntos estratégicos como Plaza de América. Han dado muchas charlas en escuelas donde los vendedores de droga tienen mayor presencia. Y no hemos terminado, porque ahora cada oficial de la Liga LEAK de las 13 áreas policíacas bajo el mando llevará la verdad sobre las drogas a cada escuela de Puerto Rico.
Aprovechemos este momento. Con estas nuevas instalaciones podemos dar la bienvenida a cada persona de cada comunidad. Podemos avanzar en nuestra misión a través de eventos, de actividades que se celebren justo detrás de esas puertas. Podemos hacer realidad nuestra pasión de que las personas comprendan, aprendan y se unan a nosotros. Y juntos enarbolar nuestra bandera por la colaboración, la solidaridad y los derechos humanos. Reconozco que su pasión se basa en la visión de su fundador. Así que al acercarnos a la víspera de su cumpleaños, honramos su legado y todo lo que ha inspirado. Y celebremos en este nuevo hogar que ahora se alza ante nosotros aquí en la isla que él apreció. Que perdure como un regalo eterno para el hombre que dio tanto a Puerto Rico, nuestro Puerto Rico. Muchas gracias.
That moment was beyond sublime. The moment of pulling that ribbon, over 1,000 people in front of us, it was just a magical moment.
LRH had a dream to put an award here, and this is his dream.
It embodies the richness of the culture of Puerto Rico. It's vibrant, it's impactful, it's alive.
You walk into reception and you're already having case game.
It's a really civilization in there. You don't want to leave. It's like, yes, I'm proud.
It's the standard, most beautiful orc in the world here in Puerto Rico and for the Caribbean. This orc is like a huge lighthouse. And all these individuals who are sailing towards freedom, they're gonna find it.
We will be able to do our jobs in the Caribbean because we can generate power from here.
And every time I look at Ron's picture and I see his smile, I think that he's smiling because his dearest island is flourishing.
And that's expansion in motion. Idealers rising, executive teams returning to post, and Scientology advancing across continents and oceans. But expansion like that doesn't happen by accident. It happens because LRH created a race defined by thinking big, thinking in futures, and above all, expansion. That race is LRH's birthday game, the race where every org runs to expand faster than ever before, all in the name of a clear planet. So before we announce this year's champions, let's take a look at how the game is played, and for that, here is a video presentation of the rules of the race.
Oh, the results are in. Ooh, and you're here. You know what that means.
It's game time. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for, the LRH birthday game race. But before we call the winners, we have got to review the rules of the birthday game. You see, when LRH was asked what he wanted for his birthday, he said he didn't want a new tie. Whoa! He didn't want a chocolate cake. The only gift LRH asked for was expansion. And let me show you how we give him that gift. Remember, the birthday game truly is a race for expansion. And an org's expansion is measured by its statistics. Every week, birthday game points are awarded based on the upward trend of an org's stats. The steeper the graph, the higher the points. Each week, the points for each division are added together to get the org's total score. Week by week, lap by lap, the points add up. And the great thing about this game is, it's any horse's race. Because it's not a matter of how small or large an org is at the starting line, but how great its relative rate of expansion. Every year, 4 classes of riders make a run for the winner's circle. Missions versus missions. Orgs against orgs. Sea orgs compete, and continental offices go head to head. Now, every team on the track follows the strategy from LRH himself. Think big. Think in futures. And it's all in the name of expansion. Whoa! Because it's upon expansion that victory depends. And the winning horse will come lickety-split down the track to the big horseshoe wreath, the winner's cup, the flashing lights of TV crews, and the grinning, cheering, kissing girls. And they'll put their racing silks in the museum, proudly labeled the org that won. Now it's time to meet today's competitors. Let's get to the action. They're back in saddle. They're chomping at the bit. And they're The only question in the grandstands is, who's gonna gallop to greatness tonight?
And now, to present the grandstand view of this year's birthday game champions, from the International Management Public Relations Office, Mr. Nicholas Banks.
Thank you very much. This year's race is run at a breakneck speed on the track. from the starting gate to the final strides of the wire. Indeed, you're about to witness the top jockeys go head-to-head like never before, and all to drive unparalleled expansion in the greatest race on Earth. So, for your international breakdown, track by track, let us proceed to our 2026 champions, commencing with our League of Missions. They represent the front lines holding wide the entrance gates to the bridge. Missions compete in every continental zone for their con championship, and the continental champion with the highest points is crowned with the worldwide trophy. And so, sprinting up the 2026 standings, I give you this year's winners. The first is a perennial frontrunner from the Great White North. She welcomes a multi-ethnic mix of students and rising executives, thereby doubling individuals now introduced to LRH technology. And so gliding in as con champion, the Toronto's Mission of Riverdale. Next is a veteran contender on the African circuit. They serve a local field speaking English and Zulu, and altogether multiplied individuals moving up the bridge 2 times over. So taking home Africa's continental prize, the South Africa's Mission of Norwood. Claiming the UK crown as a seasoned challenger from England's ancient coast. Driving first delivery of introductory courses, leading a steady advance up the grade chart, she doubled the number of releases through the past 12 months. So yes, that's Dorset Mission taking top honors in the UK. Next is an ideal mission at the equatorial belt of this planet. Their hallmark is introductory routes, channeling a youthful mix of more than 900 onto the bridge in their nation's capital. And in turn, they propelled over 1,100 total completions through the past year. So yes, lighting up the track, they're the ideal mission of Quito. Whereupon we enter the realm of the East US victors, otherwise known as the Emperors. And here's how they mark their 25th year in the saddle. An individual discovering LRH tech every 5 hours. Add to that an unrelenting stream of Scientologists soaring up the grade chart, and they tally another releaser clear every day. So yes, that's the power finish of the East US Continental #1, the idol mission of Bel Air. Anzo's con winner embodies strength and resilience as the Chinese warriors, and they do whatever it takes to usher local residents through their doors, which is how they racked up another course completion every day and accelerated overall mission delivery to reach highest ever levels. So yes, that's how the ideal mission of Xi'an charged in to take 3rd place in the worldwide game, tearing up the West US circuit for a surprise victory on the Trailblazers. And after opening ideal premises in the 2nd quarter, they took it all the way home, doubling those stepping onto the grade chart and tripling completions on beginning courses. Now add their new Purification Center streamlining delivery potential, and you're looking at mission production multiplying 3 times over. And so sprinting in for a first ever Continental Championship and 2nd place in the world, they're the ideal mission of the Foothills. Finally, we come to this year's international champion who raced in Bergamo style. And their winning ride begins with Italian style strategy, as in book 1 dissemination in their city central square, placing an LRH book into new public hands every 20 minutes. Meanwhile, driven by a force of FSMs, they introduce a new person to LRH technology every 3 hours. And with more than 400 individuals ascending the bridge every week, they propel another service completion every 2 hours. And that is expansion in full stride, rolling forward with unmistakable momentum, powering your 2026 world champion, the idol mission of Bergamo, Italy.
Ciao! In Bergamo, we have a word that adds emphasis to everything we say. Pota. So, I start by saying, Pota, we are here again! After becoming grand champions in 2023 and then doubling our delivery space last year, we knew this year the game would be tough. We had to achieve statistics never achieved before. So, we begin working hard, Bergamo style of course. Following LRH advice for the birthday game, step by step, we raised our production while having fun. Yet, the real prize is not statistics. It is the many careers made. Our public rising to OT and families, teenagers, and children saved with LRH Tech. Thank you to my family, who share my wild expansion ideas and help make them reality. To my staff, my best friends. Your Garibaldian fighting spirit and creativity inspire me every day. And what about my FSM and OT groups? We are pirates, brave and loyal. Thank you to the pioneers of Scientology in Italy, and to Milano.org, OTL Italy, and to SMI Network, to COB and RTC for the Golden Age of Tech Phase 2 and the Golden Age of Administration. Having this standard tech is the key to clearing our zone. Thank you, sir. Finally, we deliver our gift to Ron, highest ever statistics and expansion. Your birthday card reads, to our eternal friend, best wishes from Bergamo. We are here and we will be here until the end of time. Happy birthday, sir.
We next advance to the League about Class 5 organizations. It's a worldwide circuit where FEBC executive teams are setting the pace, and expansion is now hitting unprecedented heights. So, in keeping with time-honored tradition, we will again move up the worldwide standings, revealing each champion continent by continent until we crown our Class 5 international victor. To begin, we head to Canada's northern frontier. Racing with all pistons firing is a team known as the Power Machine. Traversing a snow-covered track, they drive a dissemination advance across the heart of their city, resulting in new people introduced to Scientology hitting high several levels, which is how they drove the curious through their doors, fueling a surge of individuals up the bridge, tripling survival rundown completions, and multiplying org delivery 2 times over, so skating in for Canada's top prize to the Idol Org of Quebec. We next advance to that regal racecourse traversing the British Isles, and a team who runs with the precision of royal rebels. Their ideal org stands front and center in the capital of the English-speaking world, perfectly positioned to usher the multitude through their doors. So it is they introduced over 13,000 to LRH technology just this year, all of which translates into an introductory course completion every 4 hours. As for what else sets their racing form apart, they run an ever-expanding London Lions training club. Well, through the last 12 months, they generated a great chart completion every 2 days. So yes, taking the UK crown, they're the ideal org of London. Next, we cross to the course where passions ride high for the Latin American Cup. This year's victor reigns supreme as the kings of the mountain. They're all about ushering their fellow Colombians across their threshold, whereupon they take their first steps of their Book One adventure. Introductory lectures include IS Freedom Medal winner and Bogota local Andres Lopez, helping spark a tripling of individuals discovering LRH tech, all of which drove a further tripling of Dianetic auditing delivery and propelled even more expansion with 3 times the number of individuals attesting to the state of clear. So yes, that's the unstoppable ascent of LATAM's con champion, the ideal org of Bogota. And with that, we move to the rough riding track of the West US. These birthday game warriors continued their winning stride, starting hard out of the gate with OCA distribution. In fact, as their city hosted Super Bowl 60, they were on the spot to stoke even greater curiosity. Then couple that with online outreach generating demand across the digital landscape, and their dissemination drive has ushered local residents inside and onto the Great Chart, with numbers expanding 3 times over. Their San Francisco-trained movement further accelerated bridge flow in the Golden Gate City, whereupon the ranks of releases and clears have now swelled 3 times over. So yes, charging in for the Continental #1, they're the ideal org of San Francisco. And with that, we come to the fast-breaking track of the East US. It's the domain of the DC Force, commanding her field from their global center of power. Accordingly, they draw DC residents who service the seat of the federal government, channeling individuals onto the Great Chart at 3 times previous levels. That momentum carried straight into introductory seminars, thereby tripling Book One hours through the past year. Add in ever-increasing numbers up the Great Chart, not to mention their DC-trained movement inspiring a tripling of completions. And overall org delivery expanded 4 times over. So yes, moving in to claim Continental #1, they're the founding church of Washington, D.C. Then there's that formidable track circling the Pacific Rim. It's the realm of the dragons, and from their ideal org in Taiwan's economic engine, they ignited expansion across every division, beginning with new people introduced to LRH Tech multiplying 4 times over. Meanwhile, their academy fuels Taiwan's renowned mission network, giving rise to a training completion every day. And propelled by their hard-driving HTC, you are looking at a clearing powerhouse, with another individual ascending to the state of clear every other week. So yes, roaring in for Anzo's Continental Championship and 3rd place in the world, they're the ideal org Dragons of Kaohsiung. We now turn to a down-to-the-wire battle for the World Champion Trophy. Indeed, Across every week of the birthday game, these two contenders ran neck and neck, the lead changing hands 6 times over. One grabbed the early advantage, the other closed hard down the stretch. And when they hit the line, less than 100 points stood between them. So here is who can proudly take their place in history as second place in the world. They're revered as the lightning-fast cheetahs, bursting onto the track as a 10-story ideal org. They set their pace from the city's cultural square, welcoming a rising wave of university students and young professionals, and resulting in highest ever numbers discovering the answers of Scientology. Well, here's how they turned on the speed down the straightaway. From first steps onto the grade chart multiplying 6 times over, to individuals ascending the bridge with well-done auditing hours likewise expanded 6 times over. Add to that their tailor-made training club driving an academy boom in the land of legends until overall org delivery accelerated to no less than 5 times previous heights. So yes, sprinting in to earn a first ever continental championship and second place in the world, the Ideal Org Cheetahs of the Eastern Cape. And now we arrive at your Class 5 Org International Champion. As I said, the race was fought at full stride, the margin separating first and second barely more than a breath. But as the finish line came into view, they found the lead and would not surrender, crossing the wire 81 points ahead. And so I give you your undeniable 2026 World Champions. They're a veteran contender, otherwise known as the Nordic Gods. And their winning ride begins with a racing formation, delivering Dianetics across their city, altogether introducing Copenhagen residents to LRH Tech every 15 minutes. From there, the pace quickened as they expanded introductory service completions 8 times over. That momentum powered right into a 6-fold increase on introductory course completions. This org likewise runs a well-muscled academy led by their Viking elite training movement, and which set in motion a 5-fold increase of new academy completions. While in total, individuals attesting to release or clear rose no less than 7 times over. And so, this is their moment at the summit. Not only your European Con Champion, but your 2026 World Champion, the Ideal Org Nordic Gods of Denmark.
Thank you so much. We are incredibly honored to accept this trophy on behalf of our amazing FEBC team and staff and our powerhouse field and OT committee. We did it! In LHED 339 RNs, LH tells us to think big and think in futures. And that's exactly what sparked the biggest boom in our history. A boom that would make even the Nordic gods of Thor and Odin proud. From the outset of the game, we knew that ultimate victory depended on expansion. Applying the policies of the magic of good management and planetary dissemination, we drove dissemination to reach our field like never before. All year, we played the game at the top of the tone scale, with Viking insouciance and flippancy. And every single week, we applied the LOH datum, 99% of what's wrong with people is not enough excitement. In fact, for every point, every affluence across every department and every division, we passionately fought like it was the last second of the World Cup final, and united, we became world champions! Our FEBC training made us formidable executives wearing the Class A administrative hat of LRH. As a result, we've been operating at OT cause on the third dynamic, creating total results and total success. There's nothing we cannot overcome, nothing we cannot conquer. In this coming year, we will continue our Viking heritage to expand and claim victory once again. We want to thank our wonderful public and field. You were a major part of our triumph, and we love playing with you. To our staff, to become world champions requires extraordinary teammates. And you are a world champion team. To the Eastern Cape, for playing a fierce game and fighting with every fiber of your being. You share the spotlight with us tonight. To CUB RTC, thank you for your inspirational leadership and for creating this golden age of administration. This victory stands as the unmistakable result. Finally, our immense gratitude to LRH for his legacy of administrative technology. We will honor you by now going St. Hill size and beyond. Happy birthday, sir!
Next, we enter that racetrack running straight to eternity, the League of Alceric Servitors. And here's how they crossed the finish line. Pulling in at 7th place, AOSH Anzo. Then a 155-point surge puts Celebrity Center International into 6th. Just 5 points up the rail for 5th, the American St. Hill organization. And a mere 11 points ahead into 4th, AOSH Europe. While sprinting in to claim show position is a contender commanding universal respect as a legion of knights. And given their enduring legacy as LRH's home, they uphold his tradition of service to the community, hosting events now woven into the fabric of local life. And in so doing, they welcomed nearly 50,000 through their gates this past year, while on a parallel track they sprint at full stride, driving delivery of both sides of the grade chart. Accordingly, through training inside the legendary St. Hill Academy, co-auditing hours doubled over the past year as their ever-expanding training movement generated another course completion every day. Now combine that with a packed-out solo HGC, clocking in over 60,000 solo hours, not to mention unparalleled numbers rising to the upper realms, and you're looking at another grade chart completion every 2 hours. So yes, closing in fast for a 3rd place show finish at the Advanced Oregon St. Hill, United Kingdom. Then there's your advanced org realizing an OT civilization in the cradle of humankind. They call themselves the Leopards, and living up to their reputation, they launched into the race at record pace, welcoming Scientologists from all over South Africa and from nations spanning Nigeria to Sierra Leone, all of which powered unyielding momentum in their academy, propelling a doubling of auditors made. And as the continent's gateway to OT, they charge across the savannah at historic speed, unleashing a pride of solo auditors, now highest ever, and ascending another solo OT level every day. Combine that with Scientologists soaring still higher in their HGC, and behold, OT level completions attaining unprecedented heights, whereupon, with that relentless advance, they doubled the number of releases, clears, and OTs. So yes, surging home to claim 2nd place at the Advanced Oregon St. Hill, Africa. With that, we come to your 2026 champions. From start to finish, they led all 52 weeks, powering through every quarter, never relenting, securing victory with undeniable authority. They're the supersonic contender known as the Top Guns, commanding the skies from the summit of the Pacifica Bridge. In fact, from their stronghold on Elwood Hubbard Way, they tally solo course completions every single day, and marshal a fleet of more than 170 solo auditors every week. While together, that formidable formation logs over 2,500 solo hours each and every week, and with more than 30 Class 9 auditors in full flight. This is how they push full throttle toward OT, 200,000 well-done auditing hours, and an OT level completion every 5 hours. But if you want their winning maneuver under the California sky, how about tallying over 1,300 releases, clears, and OTs? So yes, that's how they powered through to take 1st place as repeat champions for 2026, your Sea Org League World Champions, the high-flying Advanced Org of Los Angeles.
Thank you very much. It's my honor to receive this championship trophy once more on behalf of the officer and crew of the Apostate organization, Los Angeles. After the Ellery's birthday celebration last year, we decided to do what has never been done in the history of AOLA, back-to-back championship. And that is exactly what we did. Another mission accomplished. At AOLA, our job is to usher public up the bridge from across all America. It is our duty, our purpose. As we say, we will get you to OT. All you have to do is arrive. And with every crew member have a post applying LRH tech and policy, we expanded yet again, delivering at new orders of magnitude. Of course, this mission and this victory were won by perfect teamwork. There are many to acknowledge. To our Top Gun team of AOLA Public, FSMs, and OT Committee, you stay in formation and hit the afterburner. And this victory is your victory too. We are joined on one purpose with the all CEO member of Pacifica Bridge Halls and Celebrity Center International, and we share this with you. But of course, my highest thanks to the executive and crew of AOLA. It is an honor to be part of this elite team. You did it. You are repeat world champions tonight. To Chairman of the Board in DC, our gratitude is boundless. Under your guidance, we are now in our golden age. Every being can rise to total freedom, and every organization can expand full speed ahead. Thank you, sir. And finally, to LRH, our Commodore. You laid the course and gave us the job of moving every being to clear and OT. This year, we kept our eyes on the horizon to give you the gift of expansion. We are proud to tell you, we did it again. And next year, we are coming back for 3 championships in a row. The 3 peats to LRH.
Finally, we arrive at the League of Our Management Continental Liaison Offices. Their purpose is to coordinate and execute international strategic planning in their geographic zone across every sector of LRH technology, from organizations to missions and I-help groups, not to mention Able and Wise. And here's how the CLO field rounds the turn. Pulling in at 8, CLO Latin America. Then a huge leap off the track, 854 points ahead for 7, CLO Canada. Another strong stride carries CLO East US into 6th. Now the pack tightens just 61 points up for 5th, the United Kingdom. And suddenly, daylight on the track. 276 points clear into 4th, CLO Anzo. But now, we're into the top 3. Sprinting into show position is a perennial powerhouse known as the Wind Splitters. And with ideal orgs as their unshakable backbone, they boast no less than 22 across their zone. You already witnessed their continental champion at San Francisco. Now add to that the Valley, holding an open house or event every 2 days. Pasadena, where they tripled those discovering LRH tech. Inglewood, where introductory course completions doubled. San Diego, with a doubling of academy completions. Orange County, where new people introduced to Scientology triple. Ventura, with a 3-fold increase in public moving up the bridge. Up the California coast to Sacramento, where they expanded survival rundown completions 2 times over. Silicon Valley, with a 2-fold increase in people discovering Scientology. Stevens Creek, where they quadrupled LRH books into public hands. Los Gatos, where they multiplied those stepping onto the bridge 5 times over. Portland, with a 5-fold expansion of auditors made. Seattle, where LRH books into public hands multiplied 6 times over. Then there's Denver, with a golden age of knowledge completion every 3 days. Salt Lake City, where they doubled new people crossing their threshold. Las Vegas, with a 2-fold expansion of those taking first steps on the bridge. Phoenix, with a doubling of survival rundown completions. Kansas City, where they multiplied individuals attesting to the state of clear by 7 times. Dallas, where they double those embarking onto the grade chart. Austin, with an academy completion every 3 days. And Twin Cities, where they staged over 150 open houses and events. Now combine that with 15 FEBC executive teams in training, more than any other continent. And yes, that's how they took this year's 3rd place prize, the Continental Liaison Office of the West US. Next, we advance to our number 2 finalists. They oversee a multilingual domain of 15 idolores spanning 12 time zones. You already saw their international champion, the idolorg of Denmark, racing away with the trophy. Now add to that Malmo, where they quadrupled academy completions. Amsterdam, with a doubling of completions on the survival rundown. Brussels, with a 2-fold increase of new people stepping onto the bridge. Basel, where individuals finding LRH technology expanded 2 times over. Hamburg, where survival rundown completions likewise expanded 2 times over. Berlin, with a quadrupling of academy co-audit hours. And Stuttgart, hosting more than 100 events. There's more in Madrid, with a quadrupling of introductory course completions. Tel Aviv, where they drew 3 times as many individuals to open houses and events. Budapest, with another academy completion every 2 days. Padua, where they expanded purification rundown completions 2 times over. Rome, where they welcomed a 2-fold increase in individuals attending events and Scientology ceremonies. Milano, with another individual introduced to Scientology every 2 hours. And Paris, staging over 200 open houses and events. Of course, that expansion extends to advancing European Scientologists to the upper levels of the bridge, with another OT level completion every day. Then add to that their FEBC executive teams on the runway to even broader expansion. And yes, that's how they stormed home to take 2nd place, the Vikings of the Continental Liaison Office of Europe. And with that, we come to our 2026 World Champions for the CLO League. This was no photo finish. They broke away from the field, opening up more than 400 points on the nearest competitors, and ran away with the trophy. You previously saw their continental winner in the Eastern Cape. Now add to that Johannesburg, the first ideal org on Earth, where they multiplied individuals introduced to LRH Tech 2 times over. Johannesburg North, with a quadrupling of purification rundown completions, and Pretoria, where another person discovers LRH Tech every hour. They further drive expansion across their continent, beginning with WISE, disseminating LRH admin tech with the first ever Hubbard College of Administration in Rwanda. But nothing tops their legendary VM force, now surpassing an astonishing 40,000 volunteer ministers. And beyond that, everything they set in motion across the social landscape. A Tools for Life seminar introducing both community and government organizations to the Scientology handbook. Youth for Human Rights seminars, still more with Drug-Free World seminars, and freedom of religion events, thereby forging more than 400 civic and government partnerships. And with that ripple effect extending ever farther, they have directly impacted no fewer than 24 million people with humanitarian solutions in the last year alone. So yes, combine it all, and that's how they drove a 3-fold continental expansion to race their way to victory as world champions, the Continental Liaison Office of Africa.
Thank you very much. This year, we played hard. And to earn this win against impressive rivals makes it even more meaningful. It is an honor to run this race with all of you. At CLO Africa, every action we take is to forward LRH's vision for Africa. And as he stated, to make the winds of change blow the right way. So, we align all forces to expand and bring LRH technology across our zone. We continue to open new lands from Morocco to Ghana and Mauritius. And the demand for his tech is unrelenting all over the continent and throughout South Africa. From grassroots efforts in hospitals and townships to the corporate sector and government. Yet, with the golden age of admin and our ideal orgs, we know we can meet that demand. Of course, we couldn't do so without our Africa team, our OT committees, FSMs, and Ideal Africa contributors, and together we have our next target in sight to make South Africa the first all-ideal country. Thank you to our friends, allies, and partners across Africa, and to our volunteer ministers bringing LRH Tech to society. Thank you to our org teams, especially the FEBC-led Eastern Cape Ideal Org. To both AOSH Africa and CLO Africa, we are one base, one team, and your competence and spirit made this victory possible. To Chairman of the Board RTC, your dedication and commitment to Africa is felt every single day. You keep us focused on LRH's purpose and moving steadily toward the realization of his dreams. Thank you, sir. And lastly, to LRH, you said that Southern Africa will become a new civilization which can then salvage the injured old civilization. Sir, you saw Africa's beauty and its immense potential, and your vision has ignited a movement beyond imagination. Thank you, and happy birthday.
And now we come to the culminating moment of this birthday event. Because tonight marks the beginning of yet another golden age. After all, today we stand upon the firm foundation of a golden age of knowledge, every word of LRH recovered and restored. A golden age of tech, where Scientologists can move up the bridge exactly as LRH intended. And now, a golden age of administration, where organizations themselves are built and expanded on pure LRH policy. But even with all those golden ages, let us never lose sight of the overriding purpose, and that is to move every being onto and up the bridge to total freedom, all the way to the top. And if that is the purpose, what yet remains as a barrier to its accomplishment? Well, the answer does not lie with those already on the bridge, because when someone embarks upon the golden age of knowledge, they do gain the fundamentals of mind, spirit, and life. When someone enters the golden age of tech, they can become a perfect auditor and ascend all the way to the top of the bridge. And with the golden age of administration, we now have organizations capable of making it so. And let's go one step further, because we even have golden age introductory routes, so that when someone enters one of our organizations, no matter their ruin, we have a service that addresses it directly, immediately. Yet there has always remained one entire segment of those entering Scientology, one we see every day, one that has always been right before our eyes, and yet never addressed. Until now. And as for what it is and how we handle it, take a look. Yes, children. Because the future of this planet is not only those already walking the bridge, but those who will walk it tomorrow. After all, today's children will become tomorrow's civilization. And now, with LRH technology made available specifically for them, children themselves can take their very first steps onto the bridge to total freedom. And their first steps are beyond anything any Scientologist has experienced as of this night. Because what you are looking at is a complete library of Scientology principles for the next generation and beyond. As a first overview, there is a 10-volume library for ages 7 and up. Each book presents a single Scientology principle: ARC, tone levels, body, mind, and Thetan, the 8 dynamics, how the mind works, assists, confront, control, honesty, and happiness. And for more advanced readers, there is a second library for ages 10 to 100, meaning definitely for all of you. These books cover those same principles but at an advanced level for skilled readers. And in total, you are looking at 2 libraries of 10 books totaling nearly 3,500 pages and almost 2,000 illustrations of pure LRH tech, and that is Scientology with authority for the next generation. But that is only the beginning, because every one of these books is also available in 25 languages, meaning this release marks the beginning of a whole new era for Scientology translations. Now, the reason for that is something quite extraordinary, because in the course of preparing translations, we uncovered lost technology from LRH on the subject of translations, namely how you translate Scientology itself. And that begins with something LRH explained long ago. Because when developing the terminology of Dianetics and Scientology, LRH did something very deliberate. He created new words. Why? Because the phenomena he was describing had never before been precisely defined, and therefore there were no existing words that communicated them exactly. Which led LRH to state the rule for translations, and I quote, "The Scientology words themselves are not translated. There is no equivalent word in the other language because there is no equivalent word in English." In other words, if the word itself is a technical term of Scientology, it remains in English, and the student learns it. Beyond that, we have also made many major breakthroughs on quality of translations, and suffice it to say that absolutes may be unobtainable, but these translations are as close to absolute as possible. Now, let me show you how it works. First, at the beginning of every book is this notice. Some words in this book are Scientology words. Scientology words are kept in English so that everyone who learns Scientology uses the same words and can understand each other. You can find these words in the glossary at the back of this book. Of course, that notice appears in the foreign books in their language, as in what you can see here in Spanish. Now, here's the first example of a Scientology term not translated. ARC. ARC stands for Affinity, Reality, and Communication, but ARC itself is also its own word, so it always remains ARC. And in Scientology, those 3 points together are known as the ARC triangle. Now, if you attempted to translate the word triangle, it might well say ARC triangle. But the foreigner would not know that it refers to a specific thing in Scientology, the ARC triangle. So the term ARC triangle remains exactly as it is, and the definition appears in the glossary at the back of the book. Next example, reactive mind. LRH discovered the previously unknown reactive mind. Now, if you translated the word reactive and translated the word mind, you would end up with a generic phrase, a mind that reacts. But you would have no idea that this refers to a very specific mind discovered in Dianetics. So again, the term reactive mind remains in English, while the definition appears in the glossary. And one more example. Phaeton. Body translates easily, mind translates easily, but Phaeton remains exactly as LRH defined it because it names something that had never before been precisely described. And so, students across the world will all be studying Scientology terminology exactly the same, which means something remarkable. People in France, Germany, Italy, or America will soon be speaking the same language of Scientology, and that marks the beginning of a whole new era for Dianetics and Scientology across this planet. Now, as impressive as that library is, 20 books in 25 languages, there is still one final element to this release. Because these books are not merely meant to be read, they're meant to be applied. And that is why every one of these books also has a corresponding course, meaning the principles contained in these books can now be studied step by step as practical Scientology. And as for what that will look like, I give you the next element of this release.
Well, we could reach out to that. We can reach out to that.
Now, as you just saw, those rooms exist for one purpose, the courses themselves. And in terms of course length, they range from 5 hours for body, mind, thinking, start, change, stop, and honesty, 10 hours for ARC, the tone levels, the 8 parts of life, how the mind works, and assists, and up to 15 hours for the confront drills. Next, there does come a point when a young person quite literally outgrows the children's course room. And at that stage, those same courses are studied in the standard public division course room, which is also where adults study these books, because the children's course room is reserved for children. Children of the stature the room was specifically designed for. And in that way, as the child grows, they simply continue their study in the public division course room, or more likely, in the academy course room. And finally, while the books themselves can mostly be read in any order, there is a suggested sequence of study. A chart at the back of every book guides the book reader step by step, which means this is not merely a collection of books, it is a complete curriculum for the next generation of Scientologists. And indeed, it is a complete curriculum on the principles of Scientology for every Scientologist. Because while I have mainly spoken of these books for the next generation, take hold of what you now possess. Fully illustrated books explaining the fundamental principles of Scientology. And no, we have never had that before. And that tells you something else. I would not consider any Scientologist library complete without these books. So, get them, read them, and once you do, you will be the one telling the world about them. And with that, consider yourself briefed. Because in the end, there is only one thing that truly matters: results. And that is a story best told by those other than me. So instead, let us hear it from those who truly matter, the very public for whom this release was created. And here they are.
My name is Tyler. I am 8. I am 9 years old.
9 3/4 and 12 years old.
And this is my first filmed interview.
Are you ready?
These new forces, it's like there's the golden age of knowledge. But this is like the golden age for children.
It is so exciting that we kids have our own courses so that we can be smarter in Scientology earlier on in life.
And I didn't know what Scientology meant until I did this pack. This pack made me love Scientology. And like I was looking at the picture, and it just made my mind like blow.
I was like, oh my god, I'm so much aware, and I just felt like a totally new person.
I feel so much smarter. I'm probably even smarter than some adults.
Once I got in the air, triangle, you see, everything changed. It's like, you know, that Wonderland.
The biggest win on my tone scale course was observing what they're doing, how they're acting, how their eyes are.
Because I can see them by looking at their face completely. But now I got what's going on, like, technical, so yeah. Anger.
Oh, that's boredom.
Look, there's someone in Jericho. If they wanted to be at the top, I'll help them get it. On the body and theta course, I learned that I'm not a body, I am a theta. And my mind is made up of pictures, like millions of them. Then I use them to make choices. It's like you're a little perfect computer. I think of a picture of a cat, and I see the cat. But my eyes are closed, so who's looking? Me. Honestly, I just feel like I'm excited all the time when I say date.
And the most interesting thing that I've learned so far is how all of the eight dynamics are connected.
And then learning about the body was so amazing because if you get hurt really bad, your analytical mind just shuts off. And your reactive mind turns on. It's like light switch off, light switch on. When someone gets hurt, you be quiet because you can be recorded in their reactive mind. If you be quiet, it has nothing to record. So it can't bring it back. It doesn't matter who it is. If someone gets hurt, I could help them with the contact assist. You could use a kick walk assist on yourself. If you're feeling sad, you have to look at things until you feel happy again. I learned how to do locational with another student, and I started to feel better and happier too. Look, this is how you do a touch assist. And you have to put my fingers, and I can do a touch assist on anyone.
And these courses will help me in my life because it teaches me how to be able to communicate with other people. On the drills, I got to a point where I was just super comfortable and I was just being there. I learned that if you talk to someone, you can't be too loud or they'll think you're screaming at them.
And acknowledging appropriately is like something sad, happy, you know what to say appropriately.
Like if someone says, I lost my cat, you know what I'm saying? That's perfect.
But if I said, I'm sorry to hear that, then that would be a better acknowledgement.
So if someone made an origination says, oh my goodness, I love that coat so much, you're gonna be like, yeah, it's a nice coat. And then you can go back to whatever you're talking about.
I felt really excited when I got a pass.
And I was down in my chair, I'm like, yeah.
It felt very rewarding when the Sioux passed us because I really felt like I had done it.
They give older kids a little bit of a challenge too. And that's what older kids like. They like a bit of a challenge. I know that control is made of 3 parts. Start, change, stop.
My biggest win on Start, Change, Stop is that I really felt like I could just control everything now.
I did the honesty course. I learned to be honest, kindful, don't lie. That's it. There's this thing called an overt. An overt is when you do something bad. If you don't tell the truth about an overt, it can become a withhold. When you have a withhold, you will feel bad and not good. But when you tell, then the withhold can be vanished, and then you can feel good again.
Even when you feel like you're in the deepest pit of lies, you can just make up for all those lies and still go back to the surface.
Since I learned how to be happy, I can be responsible, respect everyone, and help everyone. I can be confident now if I want to play soccer, looking, learning, and I have to practice. If you treat others badly, they'll treat you badly, and if you treat them good, then they'll treat you good. Really respect your parents and be kind. And if parents are watching, try to forgive kids too. Listen up.
I keep going and start a whole chain reaction and change the world. Now that I know all the 21 steps, now I can be happy for the rest of my life. Once I finished, I felt so proud. Imagine how much great more wonders there can be. There is so much more to give. My principal goal is go for clear.
Be clear by the time I'm 16.
I want to go clear. And I will. I want to go up the bridge. But right now. Up.
And so, after everything you've seen tonight, after everything now rising across this planet, one truth stands above all others, that the power of Source shines brighter than ever. Look at what we now possess. Technology that works, champions who prove it, and now a new generation stepping forward onto the bridge. What you have just seen is more than a success story. It is the future of Scientology. It is the next chapter of LRH's legacy. And it means only one thing. The most meaningful race on earth has only just begun. And with it, the next golden age of Scientology. Not someday, not years from now, but here and now.
Yes.
Because tonight, you did not simply witness the future of Scientology, you witnessed the moment it began. And that is the birthday gift we give to the man who made it all possible. Happy birthday, sir, to LRH.
Yeah.